morning, Haley.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Of course. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, not a problem. Not a problem. Want to make sure everyone has what they need to continue selling real estate and not get stuck with all the other stuff.
Right.
So I'm not sure how many more people are going to be joining us, given I've been promoting this, Monday, Tuesday, and now today's the third day of it. And I've sent out handouts on how to do walkthroughs of some of this. And I get it that everyone's at different stages. Not everyone's tech savvy. So we're trying to give you guys as much exposure as possible, much opportunity to ask questions to a live person and all that good stuff.
Great. Thank you.
Better than just saying, here, go figure it out. So let's see, where am I gonna, so we're gonna give it a couple minutes to get started, but I'm going to share my screen in the meantime. And hopefully I won't have internet connectivity issues. With everyone working from home and all the kids doing their school stuff, I've been finding even my internet that I'm logged into kind of like slows down around this time of day. Okay, so there will be, so people won't need to stay on the whole time. You know, you're going to get what you need out of it and move on. And then I'm going to kind of repeat it for some of those that are coming in late, stragglers and stuff like that. And I'm also going to be in Command or Connect MLS. So the three areas of focus is Connect MLS, Command, and your listings. And they all kind of tie in together. Some of you are individual agents. Some of you are going to be representing teams. So I may have to pivot a little bit to talk about team stuff. Like I see Molly's here. She's part of a team. Haley, are you a team or are you a solo agent?
Let me unmute. Sorry. I'm actually a transaction manager for about 5 agents at the KW office.
Okay. So out of which market center?
Lincoln Park.
Oh.
Chicago-Lincoln Park.
Okay. Molly, do you want to say who you are and who you represent?
Here, I'll start my video. I, for some reason, can't open this window. Fair Hinton Group support about 6 agents, 1 admin, and me kind of do everything. So I have tuned into this call a little bit the last 2 days. So I really just kind of want to make sure I don't miss anything, hear this from start to finish. That's my goal.
Awesome. I did talk about your group yesterday in terms of being in multiple market centers and expansion team. And so you guys are kind of like pioneers for our market centers in terms of expanding, right? So we welcome you guys.
Yes, it's been very fun.
I'm sure. As I learn, it's like, oh my God, they have a question on how to do something. It's like, oh, I don't know how either.
Yeah, exactly. So we will happily be the guinea pigs. We'll let you guys know how it goes.
Yep. Just as like I am, I'm a guinea pig for the market center as well. So a little bit of background, I am the first agent to have officially transferred over to KWOneChicago. And, you know, being a guinea pig, there were some issues of, oh my God, it's not working like we thought, or it's taking longer than we thought. So just be happy you weren't on phase 1 of being turned on and that we turned everyone over all at once, because everyone would have been like pulling their hair out. Kim, are you solo or part of a team?
I'm on the Fair Hinton team. I'm with Molly down there. I'm the other admin, yeah. So awesome. Same as she, just kind of learning what we need to do to kind of pivot in this change.
Okay, so this is being recorded, so we will be able to post this. I think we have a YouTube page now that we'll be able to post this on there. Just make sure that it is, yep, the red dot is there, so it is recording. And so let's first start out with Connect MLS. The assumption is that we came over from either Lincoln Park, Lakeview, or O'Hare to You're still in O'Hare, Lakeview, or Lincoln Park, but now the Market Center name and ID has changed to One Chicago. And how do you know that to be that has happened for sure? If you're in the Connect MLS and you click on your photo up here and you go to settings. So you're going to want to check on your settings. And then this is where you're going to see that your brokerage has changed. The address should not have changed. If you were O'Hare and you're staying O'Hare, that would not have changed. Okay, so this is where in Connect MLS, you're verifying that you and your team have come across. Now, if you are a team, then you have 2 more steps. If you're a solo agent, you're done here. You figured it out. Not that there was much to figure out. You just figured out you are One Chicago. Okay. If you have a team and you have assistants, now you have to go to set up my assistants. All right. So I have an assistant as well. And so when she went to log in, and this is one of the things we found out, is Carr had moved her over. However, I still, as a leader of the team, still had to grant access to add assistants. So that's where that is. Click here to grant access to assistants. And then when I clicked on that, I saw Allie's name and I was able to approve and accept her, and she was able to log in fine. Okay. If you're a solo agent, you don't have to worry about that. All right. The next part is if you have agents on your team, licensed agents on your team, or you have a team, then you're coming here to your team. Right? And then you're modifying Connect MLS team. And this is where you're adding in the agents that are part of your team. So for example, I had Nikki Samarja, which many of you might know who that is. He's now a solo agent with our Market Center, but he was a team member at one point in time. And this is where you would add team members. Okay, so in Connect MLS, you're clicking on the right-hand side here to go to where your image is. Again, mine is showing my image, and you're scrolling, clicking on that and going to settings. And part 1 is looking here right away. You're going to see Keller Williams One Chicago. So now you know, yes, you are part of the new Market Center, which means you have a new MLS office ID number 2. And I'll show you that in a second. So this is part 1. Part 2 is if you have assistants, you're going to click on set up my assistants. And again, they should already have been there as part of the migration, the paperwork that was sent to Carr. You just have to grant them access. Okay. And then part 3 of that is if you have agents on your team, you're going to click on modify my MLS team, and you would find the agents that are part of your team and add them in here as well. All right. So now let's take a look at a listing. So your listings would have what I'm going to say automatically come across. You didn't have to cancel and relist. They just magically came across. And I'm going to show you one of my listings here that's been on the market for 3 months now. And you can see I didn't do anything. I didn't have to submit any paperwork. I didn't have to get a new listing agreement. I didn't have to get my sellers to acknowledge or sign anything. It just automatically happened where it's showing Keller Williams Chicago or One Chicago. And then this is, for those of you in Lincoln Park, the new office ID number. So it's 87738, 87738. So I know the office will be giving you these numbers as well, but you know, this is how you would find it as well. Again, I didn't have to do anything to this. It automatically showed up. Okay. Now mine ended up taking an overnight process. So there's not going to be like a moment in time where they're able to say you have officially moved over. They submit the paperwork to Carr. Carr typically does it throughout the day. In my case, mine happened between the week of Thanksgiving. So Carr was very short-handed. So for me, it ended up the next day. All right. The reason why that's important for you to know is because if for some reason you're doing a price reduction and it's still in the old Market Center, you would not have authorization to make those changes, right? If that's the case, you know, hopefully you'd be able to either call Cara Belt as the managing broker, and she would have access, or I think it's Amanda, one of the compliance officers should have access to update something. But again, it should be an overnight process at worst, right? But you're just going to want to make sure all your listings have moved over. And obviously you guys know how to do that. This isn't a course on Connect MLS. You have your listing, you can just click on it, scroll down to the bottom and see, yep, it's showing One Chicago and you're good to go. Okay.
Joe, I'm sorry. This is Maria. How long after your paperwork has been approved does this happen in MLS?
It should be pretty instantaneously.
Okay.
Overnight, worst case scenario.
Okay. I'll check it out.
The only issue you might encounter is if you have to do a price reduction or if you have to edit your listing for some reason. And we're not normally editing our listings on a regular basis. So
Right.
even if it did happen by tomorrow, don't panic unless you have to do a price reduction or make some change to the MLS.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I just checked MLS and I'm still under Lakeview. So I'll check back again maybe tomorrow, see if it happens today overnight.
Okay.
Thanks.
And then again, if by tomorrow, then send a message to Olivia Hayes as she's recording all these things as to who didn't come over. So she's helping to troubleshoot some of these things.
And Joe?
Yes, Dave.
I have, so I have an assistant who was connected, with the previous MLS number. I don't see him when I'm trying to create my team. It looks like I have to re-add him.
So when you go to settings here, are they agent or are they an admin?
Admin.
Okay. So they should have been part of the paperwork that you guys did together as a team with Olivia Hayes. Did you both come over together?
I guess I'll double check with Olivia just to make sure.
Yeah. So Olivia is part of the process who's supposed to say, hey, Dave, do you have any team members that need to come across at the same time?
Okay.
And hopefully you gave that name of your assistant. So then you're coming into settings and you're going to go set up my assistants. And you should be able to click here to grant access to your assistant.
Yeah, that's what I was checking on. It just, he's not in there, but I'll talk to Olivia.
Okay. But that's where they would show up here.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
Yep. Okay. So that's the MLS, making sure you've come over. For me, like I said, they did it one day and I logged in the next day and everything was fine. But do bring it up to Olivia if there are issues and she'll know who to contact at CAR to say, hey, where are you in this process? All right. Any other questions on Connect MLS? Okay. Here's where you're going to have a potential issue. And this is kind of a nice reason why we're doing this in December. If you have a brand new listing, or for those of you that like to cancel and relist a property instead of doing a price reduction, right? There is that strategy of let's cancel a listing and list it as a new listing so it shows up as a brand new listing. If you're doing that, then we're going to go into a deeper conversation about KWLS. We're not going to go there just yet, but brand new listings right now, we have a little glitch with KWLS in our market centers. All right, so now let's go to command. In command, I want you to do two things. One is you're going to go to underneath your profile, go to settings. Okay, so the process is going to be you did some paperwork and there's something with Scott Leroy Marketing that you're filling out, their questionnaire for a transitioning agent. All right. And what they're going to do is they're supposed to come into your back end under your settings and over here, marketing profile. And they're supposed to add in things like your Keller Williams One logo, right? Brokerage name, Keller Williams One Chicago. They're supposed to do that. And it might be a 24 to 48 hour turnaround for them to do that, given that they're supposed to be doing this for 400 agents. All right. So you might have to be patient on that. However, even before you've sent that Scott Leroy questionnaire, you are really in the Keller Williams One Chicago command platform. You're not logging into a different platform. You're in the same platform, except now you are One Chicago. All right. And where you're going to notice that. So two things. One, I do want you to go to your settings, marketing profile. And at the very top, it says marketing profile, Kelly guide. I want you to walk through that. Click on that and walk through that. And what it's going to do is going to give you an opportunity to verify everything is correct. And it gives you an opportunity to maybe tweak your bio, maybe update your photo, Dave Nimick.
I beg your pardon?
You know, we love giving you crap about. Anyway. All right, so you're just going to walk through this. You're going to click on get started, and you're going to click on each of these and walk through it. So I'm not going to go through every single bit and piece of it, but you could see, you know, here's my bio. If I haven't changed it in 3 years, maybe it's time for me to tweak, look at it, and maybe make some changes to it, right? My email, phone number hasn't changed, so I'm not expecting there. But maybe I want a new photo, maybe a new logo. All right, so you could do this. You should be able to do this immediately. You don't have to wait for Scott Leroy to do any of this for you. But my recommendation is to walk through this again, especially if you're a team, because if you're a team, and I'll show you in a minute where it's going to go through that. All right, smart plans. If you're a team, your smart plans didn't automatically come over from your individual account to your team account. So as part of the team, you're going to be here on this smart plan. Step 3, enable smart plan. And you're not clicking on all of these. You're just going to scroll all the way down and say, yes, I want them all. Right? And you're going to click next. And then it's going to say you have the following smart plan enabled. So this is moving them from your individual to your team account and making sure they're all there. Now, you might have some tweaking to do on those smart plans, because if it said, you know, Dave Nimick, you might want it to say the Nimick team, right? So there are some customizing you might want to do as you're becoming a team, or, you know, resetting yourself up as a team. All right, so that's the Kelly guide that you should be going through as part of. My recommendation is wait for you to get the email confirmation back from Scott Leroy that says you've been migrated over. That's when you should do this. All right, so the second area is opportunities. Opportunities is market center specific. So another way for you to see if you're One Chicago enabled is go to opportunities and click on create opportunity. When you click on create opportunity, what you're going to see is this option here to drop down and select the market center, the new market center. In this case, KWOneChicago. If you don't see this drop down, it means you haven't been migrated over yet. Once you see this, so Molly, I'd be curious to see if you have Lincoln Park as well as Milwaukee in here too, as an expansion.
I think it should. I'll check right now and let you know.
Okay, because as an expansion team, my understanding is you shouldn't have to have multiple logins. You should be able to log into one command and it'll say, now you have some juggling to do. You have to be very intentional of which market center your opportunities are going in on. Now, as an expansion team, there could be different rules. So, you know, I'd be very curious, Molly, to see if you have Milwaukee or whatever that market center is. All right. So then you're just going to, so the default would have been Lincoln Park for most of us. I think most of us on the screen was Lincoln Park. And now you're going to see One Chicago. Okay. So any new opportunity, you're going to want to make sure it says Keller Williams One Chicago as your default. Now, my understanding is once you've selected this as your default here, it's going to remember the last thing you did. So if for some reason you created Keller Williams Lincoln Park opportunity, next time you go in, it'll have defaulted to Lincoln Park again. So make sure you're selecting the right opportunity and going forward with that. So what that's going to mean is you're going to have some cleanup work in opportunities. And let me show you why. if you use opportunities as it's intended as a sales pipeline, like you see here, I've got 26 in Cultivate, these under listings. I got 14 appointments, 8 is active, no listings under contract. I got to get working on that. And again, if you're a team across the top, make sure you're in a team setting versus the individual setting, right? So make sure you're in the right category here. But all these old opportunities that we've created. So for example, Dave, you call someone and they say, hey, I'm looking to start buying next spring. You should be today creating an opportunity for a buyer Cultivate today, even though it's next spring.
In Keller Williams 1, Chicago.
In Command in general.
Right.
Right.
Sure.
Right. Some agents don't use Command at all. And there's no judgment around this. You're going to use whatever you're comfortable with. Some agents just use Command when they're under contract and they're looking to get paid. Right. They don't use any of the functionality that's here because maybe they use another system that they're very comfortable in. So we're not trying to force you to use this. However, if you want to get paid, you do have to create an opportunity. So I've seen some agents' accounts where they only have things that are under contract.
So Joe, I have a question. As far as I have several listings that are already signed coming on early next year.
Yep.
They were signed Keller Williams, Chicago-LincolnPark. Should I get them re-signed? Do I need to do anything? Do I need, how does that work with opportunities? Anything that hasn't been signed yet, obviously I would do under a new opportunity, but.
Yes, if it hasn't been signed, you're gonna create that opportunity in OneChicago. If it has been signed, and some of our active listings have been signed and they're, active. So let's go to one of these, for example. Here's an active one. And I'm going to find one that was, so my assistants have been working on these, so I might not be able to find one, but let's take this one here. So we've already moved it to OneChicago, but in documents, let's say this was Lincoln Park. In documents, you have your listing agreement, right? You have your disclosures. You have maybe a referral agreement in here. You're going to have to create a new opportunity under Lincoln Park and re-bring these documents in there and then resubmit it. And then you're going to archive the Lincoln Park ones. Okay, so.
But it doesn't need to be re-signed. It just needs to be resubmitted.
Correct. Yes. Once it's signed, it's signed.
I have a question, Joe. So you have to create like a whole new opportunity. Is that correct? For each listing, for each active listing and buyer and rental?
Yes. Anything that is not under contract. So if it's Cultivate, Appointment, or Active, you have to create a new one.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Anything under contract can stay under contract. Now, if it's under contract and it falls apart, my suggestion would be to copy all the documents and create a new one.
Joe, I have a quick question.
Yes.
If I had a couple that went under contract within the past couple of days and I did put them in the KW-LincolnPark, how do I know if they're in that one or if I need to transfer them over?
Well, if you created in Lincoln Park, you would have to change them. So whatever you created them in, that's where they are. The office didn't change anything in opportunities. You would have to manually add new opportunities. Now, did they go under contract and did you submit to the MCA? If you submit it for review, then you have to keep it where it is.
Okay.
If you have not submitted it for review, you can bring it back out, create it under OneChicago, and then submit it.
Okay.
Because once it's submitted, it's locked in from the market center's perspective.
Got it. Thank you.
Good question, though. Good question. So, yeah, if something falls apart, which they do, right? Inspection issues, buyer, can't get financing, it's going to fall apart. That's the time to create a new opportunity so that it's in OneChicago. Okay, so unfortunately, yes, active listings, if you already have signed agreement, you're going to have to go to documents. And again, this is an education on, because if you know how to put these in here, we're not going to show you how to put documents in your opportunities. Basically, you create a new opportunity, go to the documents tab and re-add these all in there, and you're going to archive the old one. Okay, so archives is, or opportunities is where you're going to probably do the most amount of work. And again, many agents only put things in here when they go under contract. So unfortunately, it's the teams like we have mostly on the screen here that have built out their sales pipeline. I mean, look at here, I've got 26 that are in Cultivate that fortunately I have an assistant that went through and recreated all of these for me. A solo agent probably isn't going to have 26 of them to deal with. They might have 3, 4, 5. So yes, it's work for, especially for the teams. And that's why they have admins. So that the agents can focus on the sales. Okay, any questions around the opportunities? Short answer is yes, you're going to have to recreate them. And again, it's as simple as create opportunity, picking the right market center, and then continuing as you always were. Okay, so how many of you are going to cancel a listing and relist it, or have a new listing coming up probably in the next week? Does anyone have that scenario? Because we'll walk through it anyway, just so that
Yes,
you're aware.
We have multiple new listings.
Multiple new listings going on this week.
Sorry, Joe, I'm like all over the place with this sun right now.
That's okay.
Yes, we have multiple new listings going on this week.
Okay, awesome. So here's what we're going to do next. So let me see if I've got that document pulled up somewhere. So I created a Word, or not a Word document. I created a document. Let's see where I put that. So I'm going to pull it up on the screen because I can't show you a live version of this because I don't have a live property to test it on. Okay, so this is in the Facebook group page already under files. I will show you, I will toggle back and forth between a live screen for what you need to do. So just a little bit of a background. The MLS has all the data. And with Keller Williams, with 160,000 agents, they created a database called KWLS. So we have the MLS and KWLS. And so KWLS needed to keep track of all the data from all the various MLSs around the country. So we are MRED. Texas has their own, California has their own, New York City has their own, Florida has their own. So all these MLSs, Keller Williams built a database called KWLS that is a repository of all these MLS data points into one area. And then they use that to talk to KWLS, List Hub, which then sends it out to all the third-party sites. And when I say third-party sites, I'm talking about Zillow, Trulia, not broker sites, Coldwell Bankers, Redfin, App Properties, Baird Warner, Compass. They get all that data from the MLS directly into their own database repository. So I used to be with Coldwell Banker. They have something equivalent to a KWLS repository for their data because they too are in the business of capturing people's data. So they too have that. So us having KWLS is not a foreign concept. It's not unique to us. That's just how we do things. That's what we use. Other companies have something very similar. It's just transparent to them. So we have this KWLS. All right. And how do you get to that? So now you have to log into mykw.kw.com. mykw.kw.com. For those of you that have been around a while, that was pre-command. This is where we always logged into before command became a thing. Okay, and you can see here, there's green sheets, there's KW email, and there's one thing here called KWLS. So let me pull a live version of that. So here's command, we're used to command. And now I'm gonna go to mykw.kw.com. So this is what people might call e-edge. Now we're going to have some conversations soon enough about e-edge because the e-edge platform with Market Leader is going away. The free version is going away. If you want to keep it, if you know what I'm talking about and want to keep it, you have to contact Market Leader, and you're going to have to pay, I think it's $100, maybe $125 a month to keep that. Okay, so the free version is going away. So again, I'm going under Technology, KWLS, and that's going to open up a pop-up window. This is where I want you to focus down here, the single point of entry. If you see One Chicago here, you're done. You don't have to do anything. Meaning that we're still waiting for KWLS One Chicago to be mapped out and built. And I don't have an answer for you. I know your first question is, when is that going to happen? Again, I was the first one as a guinea pig, and it's like, wait a minute, my listing is not showing up on Zillow, right? And who cares about Zillow? Your consumer does, your seller does, because that's where they're going to go. And so that's why this next step is important for new listings and cancel and relist as a new listing. So a cancel relist is still a new listing. So again, and it's spelled out in the Word document, but if you see One Chicago here, you're done. You don't have to do anything. So Molly, you're the one that said you had listings coming up. If one came up today, you're going to have to do this. If you came here tomorrow and you saw One Chicago, and there'll be an announcement I'm sure we'll make that'll say, hey, you don't have to do this step anymore. Right? Until you see that announcement, until you see One Chicago here, you're going to have to do this step.
Okay.
Okay. So what is that step? So I'm going to go back to the Word document here, and I'll toggle back and forth so you can see. And again, it says, if you see Market Center, One Chicago, stop. You're good to go. If you don't see it, then you're going to uncheck the List Hub enabled boxes. Okay. So I'm going to toggle back and forth. And again, this is being recorded. That's what these boxes here are. You're going to first uncheck these. All right, so the default is they're checked, and you're going to uncheck them. At the very end, you want to make sure you come back and recheck them, because here's what happens. It goes from the MLS. It goes to KWLS. From KWLS, it goes to List Hub. And then List Hub, once it has it there, goes back and talks back and forth with Connect MLS. So KWLS is just a starting point to say, hey, go send it out. Once it's sent, it's going to communicate with the MLS. This here, this checkbox is that communication link. If it's unchecked, there's no communication link, and that's when you're adding. And then once it's added, then you're going to reestablish that link. And I'll show you why we're going to do that in a second. All right, so first part is uncheck that. The second part is to create the new listing. And again, it's all spelled out in this workflow worksheet. Now, what you're going to see is similar to the MLS, however, not as many fields. So these are the basic fields that KWLS wants to get from all the various MLSs throughout the country, right? It just needs a starting base point. And the only thing you really need to focus on are things with asterisks, right? Obviously the address, the price, the listing date. So here's Dave, this is important for you to hear, is you have listings out there, and maybe you're doing a cancel relist, and you don't need new paperwork. The original list date could be, let's say, yesterday. I don't think you can go back in time. You're just going to have it whatever today's date is. So don't worry about this being the actual list date in your listing agreement. This is just the list date that you want it to go out into Zillow, Trulia, and all those other sites. The expiration date, I think it defaults to, looks like 3, maybe 4 months is the default. Obviously, you want to make sure the state is correct, the status is correct. This is an interesting point here. You ever notice on Zillow that you have a condo for sale and it shows up as a single family home? You ever see that happen? This might be a place where you can come in and clean that up. You see the default is apartment, so you want to make sure if it's condo, it says condo in there. All right, so the description, you're going to copy and paste from the MLS. School district, not required. You can put in one of the thing or some of the things in there. And what I'm going to show you is, I'm going to go back to my dashboard and I'm going to show you how little information is out there for like an existing property. So let's go here, 744 Clark. And so this one here, it shows like the bedroom bathroom count. It's showing Lincoln Park, which is okay, but there's no details here. Like the room dimension, you don't see room dimensions in here at all. So you're not having to micromanage and add all these things in, because once they start communicating with each other, it's going to get all that correct information. Okay, so you're going to enter this in. All right, so I'm going to go back to the spreadsheet here. So you're going to create the listing. Create listing, you're going to uncheck the list hub, and anything that's an asterisk, and I got to change the spelling of asterisk because that doesn't look like it's spelled correctly. And then I added a link here. If you truly must know about KWLS, if your brain works that way where you got to know why it works the way it works, then you can click on this link and it'll show you like some tools and videos and all that stuff. Just trust me, it works the way it works, and you don't have to master why it works that way. But some of you, your brain is going to be like, I've got to know, Joe, and so that link is there for you. All right, so then there's 3 parts to the creating the listing in KWLS. The first part is creating the listing, right? By clicking this, create listing. Once you're in this screen, you are now in the second part, edit the MLS information. And again, I've kind of highlighted the fields that are required fields. Now, the first time in, you're going to see the option here for KWOneChicago. And it's okay to keep that option there. However, KWOneChicago doesn't exist in the List Hub world. So you're going to create it as KWOneChicago now, save it, and then you're going to go back into it and then change it to the market center that you came from. So most of us are Lincoln Park, but if you came from O'Hare, you're going to click and there's going to be a drop down there for O'Hare, Lincoln Park, or Lakeview. And I've got screenshots of all this. All right. Highlighted are the 3 steps. Create the listing, edit the MLS information. Now, only the current market center, KWOneChicago, is going to exist because now you are KWOneChicago. You're going to scroll all the way to the bottom of the screen after you've done your data entry, and you're going to click next. The next window appears is where you're going to enter in your MLS ID number from Connect MLS. So it has to be an existing listing. So PLN listings, you're not going to do this for PLN listings. Because if you think about it, PLN listings do not go syndicate to Zillow or Trulia. PLN listings only stay in Connect MLS. So Molly, so I have a practice of doing a PLN listing for maybe a week or 2 while we get it ready, and then we go live. So my PLN listings, I don't have to do this step.
Quick question, Joe. What's like a scenario? I'm a little bit confused about the list date information. So basically for every time that you enter this in, the list date can just be whatever day you enter it in. Like it doesn't have to be, correct. Especially if you get an MLS exemption form signed, like.
Yeah, so the MLS exemption form, that's for MLS rules.
Yeah.
This is, you're just putting it in today's date.
Okay, so just put it in today's date. Awesome. Do
correct.
That. Okay,
because
thank you.
The exemption forms and stuff are for the MLS rules and regulations. This
yeah,
is
I was just, I think saying like that with that document, you're not necessarily tied to a specific list date,
Correct.
usually.
Correct.
So I wouldn't even know what to put there. Okay, got it. So just today's date.
Okay, so then the next screen after you click next is going to say enter the MLS ID number. And you're just going to put that in there and you're going to do save. And then the next tab is going to be updating your photos. Okay, so hopefully you have your photos somewhere on your hard drive, on Dropbox, on Google Drive or something like that. And you're going to upload your photos. Now, what's interesting here, right now, you can have the sequence of the photos be different. The MLS requires you to have an exterior photo as the first photo. Sometimes that exterior photo is not the best photo to represent the property. Because we're in KWLS and we're going to third-party sites, the rules don't apply there. So you could conceivably put in that beautiful kitchen, that beautiful rooftop as your first photo. Okay, this is getting off tangent. Basically, just copy whatever photos you have from the MLS in here. Now there is a, yes.
Sorry, one quick question though. I remember us talking about in the past where we can also kind of, I wouldn't say doctor up the photos, but can we put our branding information on the photos?
I knew where you're going and you see my head shaking no?
I do.
No, so Zillow and Julia caught up with all the agents branding their photos with like watermarks and their information, and they are now going to kick those photos out. So don't even attempt it. Okay. And that's been for a couple of years now that they actually blocked us from doing that. But that used to be something that it shows how old and how long we've been around, Dave, that we were trained on how to do this, to brand and watermark our photos. But we're not going to do that. So there is another glitch of file sizes of a photo cannot exceed 7 meg here. So for some reason, when I looked at my VHT photos, of the 15 photos, 2 of them, for some reason, were greater than 7 meg and they didn't come across. And one of them happened to be the exterior photo. And that's why I know that it's okay to create a listing without the front exterior photo. So you're going to have to compress any of those that are larger than 7 meg. All right. So you're going to start your upload there and then you're done. At the very end, it'll say, click submit for review. And it'll say, you know, please make sure you've uploaded all your documents. Again, that's for the old system because we used to have a different way of uploading documents. Now that we do that in command, you're just going to say confirm and move on. Okay.
Hey, Joe.
Yes.
Sorry, this is Maria.
Oh.
I don't remember having to do this with our listing. And again, you know, we're fairly new agents, but I know for our listing, we completed the MLS data points that needed to be filled out, but I don't think I ever did this step.
You're talking about prior.
What happens if I haven't done this? And yeah.
Yeah. So if your listings already existed prior to the transfer, we only have to do this short term because there's a little bug. Any old listings, you did not have to do this step.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So you're fine. If it's an old listing, you didn't have to do this. It's only if you have a new listing after being transferred to OneChicago.
Okay. Thank you. And that's for a short time amount of period, or is that like
short term? Short term.
Okay.
They might fix it tomorrow, might fix it the next day. It's, you know, that's what I said at the very beginning. If you see, let me go back here to the dashboard. If you see OneChicago here, stop. You don't need to do anything else.
Okay.
And you'll never have to come back here again. Which is why I don't want you guys to have to master this. So in one way, I'm like, good thing we're doing this in December. You might not have a lot of new listings coming up and you might not need to touch this at all. So, Maria, I think you said you might have a listing coming up in January. Dave, you said you had listings coming up in January, early next year. Chances are we're going to have this resolved and you're not going to have to do this. It's only if, for example, Molly's team says, we've got listings that are coming in this week. Molly's team is going to have to do this.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so again, you're gonna hit this button, submit for your review, and you're not done yet. Now you have to go back in, because remember it said One Chicago. So now you're gonna go back to your dashboard and you're gonna, see the MLS number there, the address. You're gonna click on that MLS number and you're gonna scroll all the way to the bottom to get to the edit button again. Right, so there's the edit button. And then you're gonna have to change the market center from One Chicago back to your originating market center. So again, I'm going to show that where we are here. So if you were Lakeview, you're going to select Chicago Lakeview. If you are Lincoln Park, you're going to, because right now Lakeview is connected to List Hub. Lincoln Park is connected to List Hub. O'Hare is connected to List Hub. One Chicago is not yet connected to List Hub. So now we have to trick the system to say, yeah, I'm still part of Lincoln Park, so that it will send it to Zillow. If you kept it as One Chicago List Hub does not exist yet. And that's why we have to do this.
When, do you know when that's going to happen?
That's the thing that I'm saying it could happen today, tomorrow, next week. So again, once you see One Chicago, you're done. You don't have to do this anymore.
And another question, Joe, this is being recorded, right? Because
Yes. Yep.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so you can come back to it. And again, you're going to have this very detailed instruction that you can walk through, print it out, walk through it, right? So you're going to click on edit, and then you're going to see now you have a toggle between. So it was One Chicago. You're going to have to change it back to your. Is anyone else outside of Lincoln Park here? Maria, you're Lakeview, right? Or,
I'm in Lakeview. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's correct.
so you're not going to see Lincoln Park. You're going to see only Lakeview. Dave,
Okay.
were you any other market center? You were always Lincoln Park.
Always Lincoln Park, yeah.
So you see, I don't see Orland Park here because you and I were in Orland Park back in the day.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Long
So
time ago.
A long time ago. So you're going to change that back. Then you're going to go to the very bottom and you're going to click next and save it again. And then the important part is you're going to want to come back and recheck List Hub enabled, right? So if you remember at the very beginning, I said uncheck those boxes, right? And by unchecking the boxes, we've made a break between the MLS and List Hub talking to each other, right? So we snapped that by unchecking it. So at the very end, we have to repoint so that they talk to each other. That way, if you do a price change, it's going to know and automatically make that change. Okay. If for some reason you change the remarks, who knows, you might change the remarks. It'll change those remarks in Zillow and Trulia and all that stuff. All right. So this is the final step. You have to make sure you recheck those things. All right. So who can answer the question, when might you need to come here to KWLS?
New listing, canceling, or relisting, or canceling and relisting.
Someone was paying attention. And to get there, you have to go through the old system, which is still active, by the way. There's still a lot of great content in here, but you go there and you go to technology and you click on KWLS. It's going to open up this new window here. And again, if you see One Chicago, you're done. You don't have to do anything. All right, so now after you've done that, it still could take Realtor.com, not Realtor.com, Zillow and Trulia and those third-party sites up to 24 hours for your listings to show up. So if you have a new listing, I always did that by practice anyway. I'm like, hey, we are live on the MLS, and it could take up to 24 hours for your property, your listing to show up on all the websites. So if you set that expectation up front, they're not going to be freaking out saying, my listing's not there yet. Where's my listing? It's not there yet. Okay, so set up that expectation to your sellers up front to say, you are live. However, sometimes Zillow and Trulia, they're third party. We don't have as much control over their systems. It could take up to 24. In some cases, I've heard people say that it was 48 hours before they saw their listing come up. And again, we have no control of that. So use that as your back off, sellers, it's coming. Because if you think about it truly, it's going to be another realtor that's going to find that property, send it to their client and show that property, right? However, the consumers are so trained to look at Zillow or Trulia or whatever their favorite third-party site is. But even Redfin's going to get it instantly. Coldwell Banker, all the brokerages are going to get it instantly because they get their feed from the MLS. It's only Zillow that gets it from, Zillow does not have a direct feed to the MLS. Not yet. I'm sure they're going to try to do that. Okay, so those are the three things I wanted to go over with you guys is first in Connect MLS. Connect MLS session open. Look at all these windows I have up. Okay, Connect MLS, you're going to go to your settings and make sure you are OneChicago. If you have assistants, you're going to come in further down and set up my assistants. And who said they had problems? Dave, was that you?
Yes, but I've already gotten a response back from Olivia, so it should be squared within the hour.
Awesome, awesome. So Olivia is your go-to person for transitioning type things. She's got like a checklist of who to call, who to contact. And then if you're part of a team, you have to might have to add them in here. Your listing should automatically come over. There might be a delay. Someone mentioned that theirs wasn't over yet. Who was that? Someone on the screen had mentioned that they didn't think their listings came over yet. So again, reach out to Olivia and say, hey, my listings still haven't come over. And she might say, yeah, you're next in the queue, or she might call CAR and get it all straightened out. All right, second thing we went to is command and opportunities. Any old opportunities that are not under contract. Anything under contract, you're going to leave alone. Anything that's active, appointment, cultivate, you're going to want to make a copy of it. And by making a copy, unfortunately, it's creating a new one. Make sure you're selecting OneChicago going forward and then archiving the old one. If you have any documents from like a buyer agency agreement, you're going to have to report that back in. If it's a listing, you're going to have all the listing documents. You're going to have to bring those back into the new opportunity and click again, submit for a review. Under contract, you're going to keep the same. If you have something that's under contract that falls apart, I would recommend then to move it back into active and go through the same process, create a new one under OneChicago, move all your documents over, archive the old one. And the third most important thing, most important in terms of our clients, is making sure that our listings are being syndicated. And that's going to be this whole worksheet that we just spent the most time on KWLS. Okay. And again, if you see OneChicago here, you're done. You don't have to worry about it. Good to go?
Yes, thank you, Joe.
Okay.
Hey,
I'll
Joe,
stick around if anyone has specific questions though.
I have a quick question. I don't know if you'd be the best person to ask this or if I need to direct it somewhere else, so just let me know.
Yep.
But earnest money now, is that going to be turned in? Can it be turned in anywhere? And will it be made out to KWOneChicago?
Reconfirm that with Olivia, but short answer is yes. Earnest money checks will now be KWOneChicago and can be dropped off at any of the 3 locations.
Okay. And then what about like forms as we're going through, like a referral form, for example, like instead of putting Keller Williams, Chicago-LincolnPark, it'll now be Keller Williams, OneChicago.
It'll be OneChicago. And my understanding is Olivia's creating a handbook to go along with it. And so, for example, I have saved an office info sheet, right, with people's information. And so this is the new brokerage ID number, license number. This is a new managing broker email. This is for Lincoln Park, the new MLS ID number 87738. So this is for all of us that are Lincoln Park. Now, my understanding is Olivia is creating that worksheet for you as being a guinea pig. I had, saved it in a spot that I know I can get back to quickly.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Actually,
question.
piggybacking on that,
Yeah.
it looks like I have two listings going under contract today, fortunately, and one of them, the earnest money is going to be wired. So I know I have the link, but is that link? Should I?
Check with Amanda or Olivia. Amanda's our compliance person to see if that link has been updated to get the right routing number and stuff like that. So do double check with Amanda and or Olivia or both.
Gotcha. And can I bogart that information that you saved there, that office info, all that stuff, because I know I'm going to need it. Just the top stuff there.
Yes.
Awesome.
I'm going to copy and paste it into, so I don't know about the office EIN number. So it's this stuff here.
Sure. Thanks.
I'm going to put that into the chat.
Cool.
Oh, and I missed, there were some questions in the chat. Okay, so that's in the chat. Molly, Emily account has 3 options: Milwaukee, KWCLP, and KW1.
Yeah, just
Molly.
confirming that in command. I don't know, this is not the right person. I'm sure you're not the right person, but who is the person that sends out, that Kira girl that sends out like the daily emails?
Yeah. Lucy?
Yeah, I don't know who anyone is anymore. Like they have like the titles of the market center people and then the emails, but like when I email them, I don't know, like until right now, I just kept thinking that Ashley Carter was the managing broker. So I put Ashley Carter on all of the paperwork.
Yep. It's okay. It's okay. So Ashley Carter is still the managing broker of Lincoln Park.
Okay.
Okay. So any old listings will still say Ashley Carter, and that's still fine. He's still the one signing all those things.
Got it. New
Going
listings?
forward, it's Kara.
Okay, and then we send the paperwork to that email that you just sent, the managing broker email for KW1.
Yes, managing broker at KWOneChicago.com.
Okay, so that's where all new listing paperwork goes. Got it. This is definitely not the call for that information, but
No, hey, you got me, and here it is. Whatever I know, I'll share with you, because we're all in the same boat here.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Joe.
Okay. Anyone else?
Thank you.
I'm getting hungry, so last question.
All right.
Oh, I'm getting hangry. Dave, I know you want to mastermind around smart plans at some point.
Yes. Yeah. So I'll connect with you offline on that.
Yeah. So I just for you guys as well, smart plans, I think it's a great topic to mastermind around. And I am looking for agents that are using Command to create smart plans and to mastermind around how to create, why we might create smart plans. And, I could share examples of smart plans that we've created and be able to pick your brains too, to say, hey, can we do this? So think about anything that's a repetitive email, repetitive task. We should be able to create a smart plan so that you can just click it and it does the 2-3 steps of that smart plan for you. Okay. I'll just give you one minor example, right? Whenever we have a closings on the buyer side and they have a home warranty, we want to follow up with them to make sure that they followed up with the home warranty company, that the home warranty is active. And some of these things in our checklist, we create an ad because of something bad that happened. So for example, 6 months after a closing, the buyer had thought that they had a home warranty, something broke down. They called the home warranty company and they're like, no, we never got a check, so we don't have you as a home warranty covered. Right? That would be a bad thing to find out 6 months later, because they're like, in the contract, there was supposed to be a home warranty. So now we created a home warranty smart plan. So after the close, if there's a home warranty, we initiate a smart plan that sends them, I think, 3 emails. It says, verify, like the first week is like, now that we've closed, it might take a week for the home warranty company to get the check if it was mailed from the title company, but do follow up with the home warranty company to make sure your warranty is active. Right? Another 2 weeks after that, it says, hey, just want to check in. Just again, can you verify that you have the home warranty? I'm kind of ad-libbing right now. And then we give an example of, we had a client at 6 months down the road, never checked something happened and it was too late then. And then we have a third email that's 30 days out. That's kind of like a testimonial that says a client of ours, as a result of having a home warranty, got a new washer dryer because it broke. Right? So that's an automated smart plan that will go out whenever we tag someone as home warranty. So any of those systems that you have in place, you create it, you customize it as a template, you plan it out, and then you can have a trigger now that says, so if I have a tag that says home warranty and I add that to a client for after a closing, it automatically starts that plan with them. So there's hundreds of plans that can be created based off of our different systems and models. And that's what I want to mastermind with agents that are using this to help you create smart plans, to give you ideas. And then we can share smart plans with each other. So for example, if you're like, hey, Joe, I like that home warranty smart plan. Can you share it with us? And we can start sharing these smart plans and think about the catalog of smart plans that could be shared with the top agents here. Now, some of you might be a little bit more guarded and it's like, hey, I want to create the smart plans, but I want to keep it. I don't want to share it with anyone else. You know, that's okay too. Some of you might have very customized stuff. So my smart plans that I'm creating are going to be generic enough that I could share them. You're still going to have to tweak it because you don't want it to say Joe Green team, for example. Right, Dave, you're not going to send a client an email that says, Joe Green says, you guys are wonderful. They're going to be like, who's this Joe Green guy? Why are you sending me that?
Well, you never know.
You never know. I know you love me, Dave. All right, sound good?
All right.
All right, I got to eat. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, Joe.
Bye.
Bye.